and they've done some good things. And we'll do something in California one of these days. It's something worth paying attention to. The senator from California is now the vice presidential candidate. And think about that's another thing too. Biden didn't need to. They oftentimes will pick a vice presidential candidate to help win that state or that region. He doesn't need her. He's already won California. People in California, will you verify this? We already know who's going to win California. He didn't need Kamala Harris to win California. He didn't need Kamala Harris to win that region of the country. Oh, yeah, let me pick Kamala Harris because not only she'll help me with California, she'll help me with Oregon and the state of Washington. Because, I'm going to need help there in Seattle and Portland and Las Vegas. No, he doesn't pick her for that. He doesn't pick her for a political reason. I just think that's very interesting. My friends, let me tell you this. The moment we are in right now in this country, on this planet, we are in a moment the likes of which I haven't seen in my lifetime. And I'm telling you, it doesn't mean there haven't been moments, but there is a convergence of moments right now with us. Whether it's the pandemic we're in, whether it's the uprising that we're in, Black Lives Matter, whether it's the climate emergency that we're all so well aware of and need to fix immediately, whether it's the economic depression, and it is a depression and nobody will say it, but tens of millions of people have lost their jobs. Millions are not going to be able to pay the rent this month. We are in a depression. And we have these three viruses that I often speak of. The obvious one, COVID-19, that has now killed 165,000 Americans. That's 55 9/11s in terms of death. 55 9/11s. And no sign of it slowing down. As Dr. Red Leonard from Columbia University said on the podcast here a month or so ago, it could easily get up to 800,000 deaths and maybe 1 million if we don't take the measures we need to take. So we're in a real, between COVID-19, between the virus that is Trump, that's our second virus. We'll probably get rid of Trump before we get rid of COVID-19. And the third virus, that which gave us Trump. Trump just didn't fall out of the sky. We allowed this to happen. We created a society. We allowed an economic system that is cruel and greedy. And we are going to change our ways. I hear this from everybody. I know it's going to be better on the other side of this pandemic. But Trump and the Republicans, they are dangerous. They are dangerous, dangerous folks. And they have to be removed, not just Trump and Pence. We have to flip the Senate. With Biden in there, that means we need to flip at least 3 Senate seats. Let's go for 6. Let's make it good and safe. Republicans have to be removed from every position because they have to go to the timeout room. They refuse to stand up against Trump. In fact, they've stood with him. They've enabled him. And it has now killed tens of thousands of Americans. And yes, Biden and Harris have their flaws. We know what they are. And we're not going to ignore that. As Cornel West said on this podcast, I will vote for Biden, but I will not lie for Biden. And that's really what we all have to do. We have to get out there. We have to get people to the polls. We have to make sure people are going to be able to vote. We're going to have to fight Trump because he's going to try to interfere with that. And I'll get into that here in a few days. But we have no choice at this point. And when we get Biden and Harris in office, this is what Bernie kept saying the whole time he was running, that we weren't trying to get the Oval Office. We were trying to build a movement so that if he won the Oval Office, well, tens of millions of people would feel like they were entering that Oval Office with him. We have to keep that movement going. It has to build. It will build. It is building. I don't even have to say that. Look at what has happened. George Floyd, we will never forget you, and we will be unrelenting in our gratitude and love for the sacrifice that you made to ignite a revolution, to ignite an uprising. And it continues to grow. Last night, Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, reelected in a landslide, just like last week, Rashida Tlaib in Detroit, reelected in a landslide. If you look at these numbers that are coming in these primary states right now, I mean, in where I live in Michigan, in the county where I live, there were the number of people last week that voted with absentee ballots. Okay, listen to this. There were more absentee ballot voters in last week's election in my county in Michigan than there were in the 2016 presidential election in the same county. Than both absentee voters and in-person voters combined were less in 2016 than they were last week during a pandemic. That's how many people came out, either with absentee ballots or the many who did come in person and risked their lives. That's how. Are you listening, Trump? You got somebody listen to this for you? I know you follow me on Twitter, but you better hear this. You have fucked up bad. Man, when they write the history of you, they're not going to be able to figure it out. You got to leave a note behind explaining your actions. They're going to go, why didn't he tackle this pandemic? His largest demographic of voters are people over the age of 65 that were for Donald Trump. And he just let them die. He just let them get sick. You'd think they'd be the first people that he would go after to make sure they were okay. And he's let this, by his ignorance and his incompetence and his lack of leadership, he's just killed them off. And he's got all these people in these red states, whether it's the biker convention in South Dakota last weekend or wherever they are, partying without their masks, getting together, thinking that the mask is a Democratic versus Republican thing. So they think to be good Republicans, to be good Trump supporters, don't wear a mask. And God knows I don't know if we'll ever know the number of how many of them killed themselves off. Trump, you encourage them to behave this way. These are your voters. Those rednecks on the bikes in South Dakota, why would you kill off your own base of support? Historians are going to ask this question. They're going to hold seminars. They're going to write white papers on this. They're going to need to know. You're going to have to write something down. I know you're not going to be able to write a book, but get somebody to ghostwrite it, talk into a tape recorder. Just fucking tell the people in the future why you killed off your own voters, while at the same time trying to stop the people voting against you from voting, which only made them really mad. And they made sure that they got out to vote. No, instead, what's Trump doing? Every day he's complaining that now it's, Biden and Harris, but it's all Democrats are the, not only the enemy, but what he calls, he says, we're the radical left, the radical left mob, the radical left, right? It's just like he can't get all the protesters in the street. They're controlling Biden and Harris. They're controlling the Democratic Party, the radical left anarchist mob. He's so consumed with his belief that you and I, my friends, are behind all of this. That we are the puppet masters. We are pulling the strings of the DNC. We got Biden and Harris to do our bidding. He really, this is his non-stop mantra, day after day after day. And he thinks if Biden and Harris get in the White House, we're going to be in control of this administration. Can I just say that Donald Trump, God bless him, has more faith in us than we do in ourselves? Because I don't think anybody listening to this, does anybody feel like you're in control? Do you feel like you're in control? Do you think you feel like you're in control of the Democratic Party? Congress? Right? Nobody, no, of course not. You know, I mean, we know we're not in charge. We know we're not in control. We know we can't get these people to listen to us. And we know it's only going to take tens of thousands of people in the streets nonstop to get the new administration to do a few of the things we'd like them to do. But Trump thinks we're already there. Trump thinks we've won. We've succeeded. And he gives Portland all the credit, like the rest of us are chopped liver, right? We all across the country, all the rest of us who've been part of the uprising. Yeah, no, it's all of you out in Portland. Thank you, by the way, those of you in Portland. But this is amazing, you know, and maybe we should just embrace it. Maybe we should just own it. Maybe we should just, you know, maybe I'll just start doing this on the podcast, that this is the world headquarters of the radical left anarchist mob. We should just let Trump think this, and let's support him in his thoughts about this. Because actually, maybe the Democrats, our new president and vice president, will actually believe it themselves. And that will only mean good things for us. Should we start like a something called radical leftists for Biden Harris, radical left anarchist Antifas for Biden Harris? We just need to scare Trump some more. You know, there's like, maybe there's just, I just think we should own this sucker and just anoint ourselves the radical left. Biden Harris 2020. We're the radical left, and we've approved this message. Trump, you have no clue. You are going down bad. The fall didn't have to hurt this much. And look, friends, we've got our work to do here. What do we have? 80 some days. It's not long before the election. Trump and Pence are a menace to society. They are the true terrorists. We are in mortal danger if they get 4 more years. Oh my God. We'll have to store the hard drive of these podcast episodes so they make it through to the other side. If we have a Democratic Senate, if we have a Democratic House, we've got the squad. The squad's getting bigger now. And with Biden and Harris in office, we can move them. We can move them. Because here's the thing about them. Both Biden and Harris, I've seen this. They do know which way the wind is blowing. And when they see that wind blowing, they start to move with the wind. They don't move against the wind. That's why we don't have Susan Rice running for vice president. They move with the wind. And they see the wind of 2020, especially since May 25th. So now that's why it's so important that you and I, not sit this out. You and I have to be out there. You and I have to keep pushing. We have to force Joe Biden and Kamala Harris to do the things that we the majority, want done. The majority want a living wage. The majority believe in choice. The majority believe that there should be free daycare and there should be free health care and there should be free college, just like every other industrialized country. There is no excuse for this. We want this, we demand it, and we will get it if we do our job. And if we don't do our job, then what kind of radical left-wing anarchist mob are we if we sit it out and don't make this happen? No. We are going to make this happen. And I want to hear from you. Write me. I read my email, mike@michealmoore.com. Leave me a voice message. It's right here on the podcast platform page. Just click on that. You get 1 minute. I listen to every voicemail. Tell your friends, your neighbors, and co-workers, people in the other room. Tell them about this podcast. We're going to use this podcast for the greater good here, especially over these next couple of months. We have got work to do. Celebrate the tiny gifts that we're given. Stick to our principles. Fight for the things that we demand happen. Put the pressure on where the pressure needs to be. I'm going to feel good for 24 hours. Maybe longer. I think this is a good thing. And I think something's going on. Something's going on with Joe Biden. And I'm hoping it's a good thing. It just may be. Don't sink into your cynicism in this moment. You know me. I'll never encourage you to have false hope or a belief that the system is somehow going to look our way and say, welcome, friends. No. We have fundamental changes that are going to have to happen in this country if we're really ever going to get the things that we need for this to be the America that we were always promised but never happened. Why don't we just take a flyer on this? Let's see if maybe we can make